All right, there we go. All right, welcome everybody. Tonight is the 19th of August. This is Dallas Personal Robotics Group. We're meeting online like we usually do every Tuesday. We'll do the usual thing, talk robot-y things, and then whatever else hits us, an open mic session. We have a queue so far we'll dig into in a moment that includes Mike, Dave Ackley, Doug, Pat, Carl, then Kareem. And then just as a reminder, we have an upcoming meeting hybrid in the Dallas Makerspace and online this coming Saturday. So watch this space for indication of when that will be, whenever that's posted. Anything else that we should discuss opening-wise before we dig right in? Okay, with that, it sounds like we actually have the recording going. We have a decent queue. So Mike has something big, I think, to discuss with respect to cones. Our favorite topic, orange cones.
Yeah. Well, it's nothing big, but I'm just making incremental progress. And but from the last time you saw it, I added the camera right there. And so I have.
Sorry.
Uh-oh. I got logged off. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. My computer logged. It's weird. Okay. So I'm using that open source, readily available Cone Slayer AI running on the Oak D camera, and I got the cone being detected, and it's working pretty good. It's not as great as I thought it would be. I mean, it still thinks orange things are cones, but it's probably pretty good. So I think I can put some extra filters by looking at the size of the object and the dimensions and be able to say that's not a cone. So I haven't done that kind of filtering. One filtering I did was I noticed that it was a little noisy, where the cone would be at one location and then it would jump to another location, come back on the RViz plot. And so I put a filter on there to get rid of spikes, deviations like that. And it tightened it up, and it just jitters a bit now. So, but now it can detect two cones at one time, and it sees the Home Depot logo on a box, thinks it's a cone. so I covered it up. So I'm gonna bring up my RViz just for the show and tell portion of it. Right there. Okay, so this is like zoomed in, and I don't have a robot model, but these are all the sensor locations on the robot right now. The little transform thing, triangle things, and then this is where it sees a cone, and if you saw the picture before, it's like a meter or so in front of it, and you can see that it's wiggling a little bit on there. And if I move the cone, I'm going to move it closer to it. So, and then the red line is the LiDAR. So the LiDAR is seeing something where the Oak D camera and this AI Oak Cone Slayer software says there's a cone. So you can see that it moves around and everything lines up pretty good. I was thinking there's all kinds of cones. That's weird. Okay.
So the red lines are the current scan of the radar. What's the black line?
It's part of the map where it's like doing a keep out zone for the navigation.
Oh.
And so I haven't really gotten that to work yet because of some issues. But so I was just showing you that I can move it around and it follows it around and it does a pretty decent job. It gives, you know, it'll say, okay, there's a cone there, and then if I get close enough, I can look at the LiDAR and say, oh, there's an object right there. That must be the cone. And so I can easily just pull it in. So it's touching the bumper of the car right now. And I made the circle is the radius of the car. So it's right there. You can't get any closer. And these three objects here are the three cameras. You got the RGB camera and then the two depth cameras. And so you can see here so I got, this is the OAK-D camera with its individual sensors inside of it, cameras in it. And then this is my LiDAR. And this one here is my GPS. And then this one here is my IMU. And then these are like the base footprints of the robot platform. So let me try to get it back to head-on viewing. And so, since the area we have is pretty big, I created an empty map of that size. And so basically, it's a 200 meter by 200 meter map, because I wasn't sure when I started up, it's like, which direction are the cones going to be in? So this is like 100 meters. And according to our rules, they're going to be somewhere within here, but just located in an area. Is it? So I think 200 meter by 200 meter will allow me to drive around and do obstacle detection without being off the range. Yeah, so go back in. So that's sort of my show and tell. Oh, I can do the. Let me bring up let me do a ROS to topic echo / cone. Cone point. Yeah, so you can see here, let me get in here and make it a little bigger. Yeah, so the X direction is the forward, like the distance, or on the X-way map, it's like the forward distance, and the Y is the side. And so if I move, so you can see that it's right in front of it, and it's like 350, 360 millimeters away. I'm going to ask a question. Can anybody hear me, or seems like it's real quiet?
We can hear you.
Okay. I just want to make sure I didn't drop off or anything.
Could we make some background noise?
Okay. And so if I move it about a meter, then you can see that the X goes to a meter and the Y is still in the center. If I offset it in one direction, then so this is the point, and then I'm using RViz. So this is the point locations. The Z doesn't really mean anything. It's like where I think it's like off the ground, like the center of the cone location says. Somehow it just says it right. Somewhere, yeah. It's not the bottom of the cone at the top. It's somewhere in the middle. So you can see that it works pretty good. Okay, so that is my my little show and tell. The interesting thing on these is the in the ROS, you use a robot definition file, a URDF, and then these transformed here, those locations where the sensors are, is in my code that I created, my URDF. These over here are in the cone slayer, but it's actually not the cone slayer, but the cone slayer does a depth AI, which is a OAK-D camera Luxonis package that's loaded into the ROS space on the drive. And so these are a URDF down there. And I'm having issues where if I enable the navigator, these don't get published. And if I disable the navigator, i.e. comment out the code in the launch file, then these get published along with these. But the cone is still being detected, and it's saying, hey, I'm at this frame location, but the frames aren't published, and so RViz doesn't see it anymore. So if I look at the code, that'd be a different window. So that's my issue is for some reason when I launch the navigator, the robot definition file, robot state file or node for the OAK-D camera doesn't launch and or something happens and it doesn't publish the frames. Something's blocking the frames from these frames from being published, but these are being published. I went into the cone slayer code and added a namespace for the robot state node that publishes the URDF for this and gave it a namespace, and that didn't fix it. I was going, that's going to fix it, and it didn't fix it. So I'm gonna stop sharing it unless there's some questions about the stuff that I can show and tell.
Mike, could it be that when you're running the two, you only have one camera, right? But it sounds like you're defining it as in two places because you're using two software packages.
I got my software, and then I'm using the Cone Slayer software, which is a whole set of package, a big package set, basically a project. And I'm also using the navigator, and I'm also using the LiDAR. So I got 3 packages that I launched because they each of those have their own launch files. So I launched those 3, and then I launched my individual nodes.
Okay, I guess what I'm thinking though, from what I see of your robot, I assume the little sticks are the sensors.
Yeah, the sensor location. Yeah.
Okay, so it looked to me like you've got for the OAK-D light, you have it defined as being up in the air, but you also indicated that the back one with the air and 2 in the bottom, are also an OAK-D light.
No. This is the GPS location.
Okay, so they're all defined. You only have one defined.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to get at is I was wondering if the conflict is really between Cone Slayer and your own software.
Yeah.
I
have 2 URDF files, or Cone Slayer uses the depth AI URDF file. It doesn't make it up its own, so it just uses that package. I think it even launches it or something, and then I create my own, and then the robot state node. gets launched twice, once for processing my URDF file, and then launches another time for the Oakley camera URDF file. And as long as I don't launch the navigator, which really I don't think has its own state, robot state node, because I've never seen it pop up in the messages. These two play together well. But as soon as I enable the navigator, then the OAK-D launch file is, well, with some reason these frames don't get published.
Oh, let me ask you this: if you didn't launch your file and you just launched Cone Slayer, will the navigation work?
Oh, I haven't tried that. No.
Or if you launch your file and don't launch Cone Slayer, does the navigation work?
Huh?
What I'm saying is, if you just launch your robot, well, I'm not sure exactly what you said, it was a robot state file or something. If you wrote the one you wrote, if you launch it, it doesn't have a model in it, does it?
My code has a model, and
right, but if you launch it by itself, but what I'm saying is, if you, I guess.
Okay, I'm gonna bring the code up, but I guess the picture here is not being terribly helpful right now. Let me find the code. Where is that? Ah, this is it. Oh, that's the URDF. That's not the one I want. Ah, there's a lot of files here, a lot of screens. This must be it. Yeah. And let me try to make it a little bigger here, a little smaller. Okay, so here's the launch descriptor for the nav2, and it's nav2 bring up, and then I have a launch descriptor here. So it launches the nav2. I have it commented out right now so I can get the frames, and then I got the launch descriptor for the LiDAR, and then I have a launch descriptor for the Cone Slayer AI for the OAK-D camera, and then this is my stuff that I'm just, this is my launch file. So I don't have a launch file that I launch for my stuff. It's just part of my launch file.
Well, I guess what I would, just curious, I'd probably say the next step for you is to take out either your launch or the Cone Slayer launch and see if navigation comes up, so that you can find which package is inhibiting the navigation. Right.
So here's my robot state publisher for my stuff.
Yeah.
And so robot descriptor points to the to my URDF file.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so you're saying try commenting this one out, and
just see if Cone Slayer does it.
Right. So there's only one robot state publisher instead of two. Yeah, because the Cone Slayer it creates its own robot state publisher. So we have two, and when I don't do the navigator, I see two state publishers come up, and in the logs it's like, hey, it's running, and when I turn on the navigator, I don't see the state publisher for the camera.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I guess what I'm saying is only one robot state publisher, and the second thing is, check one, take out one group, take out the other, switch them back and forth, so you can find if there's something, which package is actually causing you the issue.
Right. Yeah. Well, I've been doing it with this, and it's like, okay, this is the one that causes the issue.
Yeah, yeah.
And if I
But that's the
uncomment
one
this,
you want, that one, right? That's the one you
Oh.
want.
I need them all. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. One thing I was thinking of doing if I really wanted to really do something crude is go into this path here for the cone slayer and find that URDF file and just copy it into my URDF file. It's only at one.
That might work.
That would probably work.
Yeah.
But that's so dirty and crude. I just don't want to do it, but I might have to.
Yeah. Or could you, when you launch your file, can you somehow have it before you launch it, before you do the 2 launches? Can you have something that creates maybe you like feed one file, append it to the other file, and then launch it? I'm just throwing out ideas here.
Yeah, there's probably some functions. I'm sure there are some Python functions to do that I can add to this Python file.
Yeah.
I'm using Python for my launching.
Mhm.
So I could probably like I said, append the 2 together and then say, okay, use this new created launch file. And that's what
Yeah.
you're, instead of mine. That way it would be a little less dirty.
Mhm.
But it would be, it wouldn't be copying from deep into the bowels of ROS, grab some code and stick it into my code.
Yeah, and then you have this very special file that you've modified, that you got to always remember that you modified it, in that hope that it doesn't get rewritten when they give you the next little 0.001 update. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So,
WordPress, I know this sounds weird, but WordPress has a very nice mechanism for that. Otherwise, in WordPress, if you think of a website, you would have a theme, all right? And the theme has all of this structure to it, if you want to call it that. But you also can create a child, okay, of the theme, and you make it active. And what it does, it runs the standard theme, except it loads file. You can take a file from the theme and put it into the child and modify it by adding functions to it or whatever you want to do. So that way, when the theme is updated, it's updated, but the child really isn't updated. So your special functions are, they still get priority, even though the theme has been updated. Now, I'm just throwing it out because that's kind of a clever way of doing what they did. But anyway, yeah, I think I hope you've gotten some ideas on how to I hope we gave you something you didn't think of yet. So
yeah, I didn't try to say, okay, what if I don't publish mine? Does the other ones get published?
yeah.
So yeah, like this is deep into the bowels of ROS, is where the camera code is.
Yeah.
And so it does this, and then somewhere else is where the URDF file is. So where is it? Oh, URDF. So that's just the models. Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. This one here. So I think this is it. Oh, one of these. But oh well. So I've been. This is the directory structure inside of ROS, and I've been trying to figure out where the URDF file is. One of these two. So I think I've found them. It doesn't look right, but maybe it is. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing again. So that's my quandary right now, is I can't get Navigator to work with the OAK camera. So that's it. Something to work on.
Very cool. Any more questions or thoughts for Mike? Okay, so next in line we had Dave Ackley, Doug P, Pat, Carl, and Kareem. So Mr. Dave, you still there? Are you one of the 8 others?
There we go.
There you go. Okay, good. Yes.
Okay. I have, okay, as a background, I recently got married, and the end of this month is our anniversary. And so my wife asked me, well, what would I like for an anniversary present? I said, well, let me think about it for a few days. And I finally said, okay, what I'd like is a robot dog kit. And so she provided me this kit, which I've assembled after 74 steps and hundreds of pieces. And it actually works. And I run some of the standard applications, and I'm in the process of trying to program it and extend it. So that's my show and tell.
Cool.
Hey, Dave, you're going to go for a gold star here?
Does it move?
Does it, am I allowed to get a gold star for that?
You sure? Hey, nobody's seen it before on yours.
Okay.
You just told us that it worked. You didn't show us that it worked.
Well, I can show you next week that it works. It does work. I've tried some of the standard programs on it.
That's good. That's good. Can you have it walk off the table like Paul did?
No, fortunately, I've not had to walk off the table, and I've been warned that it does not survive a fall from a table very well. So I've been very careful to not allow it to do that. In the background, you may see my cat that we recently got.
Yeah.
Who's trying to, really loves my chair and is trying to climb up the back of it.
It's going to have that thing shredded in a matter of hours.
Yeah. Anyhow, that's my show and tell for today.
Very cool. And then did you reach a decision? So Dave was reaching out earlier about connection options for phone to reach the PyDog at like the makerspace. So I gave some ideas to him, but Dave, should we review what we talked about and see if anyone else has better ideas?
The question I had was that I have hooked this up to the phone with my local network, but I thought, well, okay, but in makerspace or other places, I'd like to be able to run it without using the local network, but actually have I don't know what you would call it, a slave network that is just for my talking to the robot from my phone. And so Carl has graciously helped me a lot of identifying what might be a KISS approach to the problem. And I've gone off and actually ordered the part he suggested.
Another thought is maybe SSH or whatever it is, SSH through USB.
Yes, I do. That's in fact how I've accessed it actually 3 ways. One was with SSH. One is actually connecting a keyboard and display, etc., to it.
That's the way I did it.
Third is with the phone. But I've thought of, okay, I'd like to be able to carry this other places and not have to worry about hooking up to the local network and be able to run just, slave from my own network. And
did you try the SunFounder phone app?
Yes, I have, and it works beautifully.
Yeah, but so I can't remember if you can kick off a script with that or not. But that might be another option.
I haven't dug into it enough to see what's under the covers and whether I can modify it or not. It does some nice things, and I've played around with those, and my wife has been very enthusiastic about it. So it's been very, very good.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. How does the cat handle it?
The
Too
cat
accurate?
so far has ignored it because
Oh.
she hasn't seen it very much. But when I got it to bark a bit, our dog came in and looked around to see what was going on. As Gay says, I got a package deal. I got her and a cat and a dog.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, right now, where we're staying, where we live, the elevator is broken and we're on the 4th floor. So it's a bit of a challenge to take our 65-pound dog up and down the stairs, who's 12 years old, to do his thing. Anyhow, TMI, right? Too much information.
Yeah. Once I get
Get
that
those
fixed.
grass mats and put it in the shower.
Yeah. Well, so far we.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we've adopted a small horse. So
Oh, that's not your average stray cat kind of discussion. That's
A dog is easier to pick up after.
yeah. Might not polish the shoes quite as well.
Yeah, that's for sure.
All right, cool. I think next we had in this order, Doug, Pat, Carl, and Kareem. So Doug, what you got?
Okay. It's just a little bit of a discussion, or, you know, I've been away. I've been on vacation for a while, and robots haven't been really big on my mind. But now I'm kind of getting back where I'm starting to think about them, and you know, I'm running my ChatGPT window, asking weird questions like, "Why is there air?" And as everybody knows, that's the blow up basketballs. Anyway, one of the problems, I'm taking a different approach than Mike. I'm using my own model that I have on RoboFlow, and using it with the OpenVino translator or whatever that puts the model onto the actual. And I'm using instead of using an OAK light, I'm using a Pi Insight by Arducam, and the reason I got this was I haven't really I decided I don't want to use the depth in the OAK light, so I didn't need that. So the Pi Insight is essentially an OAK light without the depth camera. It uses exactly the same software. Okay, I mean, the product is a repackaging of, you know, they made a camera with AI capabilities, and they made a depth camera, and you can buy it either as a depth camera by itself, or you can buy it as OAK light, which has both, or you can buy the Pi Insight, which has just the AI capability. And I have a model on RoboFlow that is pretty good. But if you think about, as you approach a cone, okay, so as you see a cone from like 10 or 15 yards, it will say, there's your cone. Practically, if you're 20 or 30, it will say, there's the cone. But when you get to be 1 meter away, what it'll say is, you got a big orange blob, dude. You know, it doesn't look like a cone at all. So, you know, I have taken in the past a expansion of the model and included a few pictures of big orange blobs. But that, in a sense, desensitizes your ability to detect weird stuff. You otherwise, a fence, you might see it. And if it was one of those orange fences that they put around holes, you might see that. Okay. So the question was, how could I continue to track the cone right up to the edge of the cone? So, I had an epiphany the other day. Well, I can strengthen my model and have a sort of a belt and suspender by adding a blob detector. Okay, now you say, well, and it turns out that the Pi Insight, at least of course, according to ChatGPT, at least, no problem. But you know how that is. Everything is no problem in ChatGPT. But the code actually looks pretty decent. So I was going to hopefully have a demo today, but other things got in the way. So what I'm thinking is what I'm going to do is it's going to have, it'll have the AI picturing, the cone, and it'll have a little box around the cone. And I will use that to position the robot. But it'll also have a blob detector and put a blob around it. And so, in a sense, there's some things that I can do to strengthen this. If I detect a cone, I can say, well, do I see a blob that's about the same size in the same location? If it does, then hey, I'm golden. I got blob saying it's a blob and cone saying it's a cone. That must be really kind of good. Now, but when I get close and I lose the ability to sense cone, I might be able to, I'll definitely retain the ability to see a blob. So that was one. So that was one, kind of like I say, an epiphany for me. I don't need another camera. I can do it all in the same script. And so I can have a blob with a little box around it too. So I can actually do position of the two boxes to say, well, yeah, they're on top of each other. We're close to, whatever. And so anyway, this was something I hadn't thought about. I know there's probably people who have said, well, yeah, that's obvious. I don't know what he's doing. But for me, it was an epiphany. And the second thing was, it also makes me feel more, like I say, belt and suspenders. Now I've got two ways that I can make sure that what I'm looking at is really a cone. And then I explored some adaptive color filtering. So with the intent that if what happens when you see something in the light and something in the shade? Well, we know the blobs really are very sensitive to that. You can, by using the hue sensitivity something model, you can get better because it's usually isn't a brightness issue with that particular color space. But I know Ray in the past has used sort of a stacked color thing. So if it's bright, he's got a thing to cover bright. If it's intermediate, he's got something to color intermediate. He's got something a little darker, and then finally dark. And if he gets anything from any of those, he assumes he's good and he's got something. So that's one way, and I looked at that approach. But apparently, with a little help, you can do that a little more sophisticatedly. So, that's a little, since I hadn't really expected, those were the question that I posed and I got an answer, which I guess I hadn't really thought about. There may be a better way to do that too. So something to think about. Let's see, is there anything else on that? No, I guess that was just what I wanted to say about that. So I'm going to use the Pi Insight to do both an AI model which I already have, and as a cone detector. And once I get that where I feel that part is good, then I'm going after adaptive color detection. Then let's see.
If you're pretty certain that you're going to get the cone with the cone detector,
Yeah.
and you're going to get close to it, and you're probably monitoring how big it's growing, the box, right?
Probably not. I'm probably just saying it's a cone, it's a cone, it's a cone, guy, it's a cone.
Well, you probably have a bounding box around it, and you can
Yeah,
be
yeah.
measuring its number of pixels, right, as it grows.
Well, that's what. So the minimized traffic, my packet consists simply of the centroid of the cone.
Okay, but you
So
could.
I'm sending one character, right? Because it's the
Do you have access?
exit coordinate of the centroid.
Do you have access to the actual picture that it's picking up?
Yeah,
You
I
can.
do.
You have that bitmap, right? So
Yeah.
you can sample it at the centroid to get the color of orange in the current environment that you're looking for.
Yeah, but that's kind of like, okay, you want some independence between them, Greg.
If you're relying 100% on the cone detector to get close,
Yeah.
right? Then
Well, no, I don't.
Then
I
you're
didn't say
already.
that.
Okay.
I don't know that strategy yet.
Okay. All right.
Like I said, if both of them kick off at the same time, my confidence level goes up. You see what I'm saying? If it says, yes, you do have an orange pile somewhere right in front of you, and the other one says it's a cone, then I have a better feel that, well, it's not Carl's orange tennis shoes.
Okay.
But anyway, we won't go there. We won't tell that story. So anyway, so anyway, that's a good point, though. I'm glad I did not think about that, Kareem. That's it's definitely there might be, yeah, I'll have to think about that. But my initial thought is that I want them to be independent assessments. And then,
Are you going to have a depth sensor like a time of flight, or I think?
Well, okay.
The size of the box.
I'm going to have
three.
I'm going to have 3 time of flight sensors. They'll be the same type that Scott had on his robot last year. So there'll be one that's pointed straight ahead. Yeah. Who are they? Ray, I can't remember who makes them.
I think it's Benawaki.
Yes, you're right. There are Benawaki, the outdoor one that they have, the more expensive one.
So you should be able to touch the cone without knocking it over, then. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I always planned on having distance done, since I don't have a depth camera, to do that with some sort of sensor.
Right.
We're going to get there. I'm not quite far enough yet. I got a new set of wheels, and it requires me to tear off all the axles and put new axles on, and I'm still in that process. So, but the wheels are much nicer, so we're going to see how that goes. Okay, so now we've come to the second topic. I have touched base with Steve, and we have Robo Columbus on the 4th week of November, which is 1 week in front of something. I don't remember what, but it's the same setup we had last year. Okay. I think it's 1 week in front of, is it Thanksgiving? I don't, what's late November, early December?
22nd is the 4th week, 4th Saturday.
Okay, 22nd then. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody know what's on the 29th? Is it Labor Day or anything weird?
Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay, Thanksgiving. That's what I thought.
Something. Yeah.
So we won't be conflicting with that. And so anyway, that's I'm working now on the website post for the Robo Columbus 2025. It'll be up probably this week. And I'm also working up a mug design that's going to be for the mug this year. It'll be, rules are, last year Kareem's challenged us to take it to the nth degree, and we did. And so now you still, 9 is still considered a perfect score. Okay. But there are additional challenges that you can do, which they were available last year. Nobody took them up, but it'll probably be a couple of years when people get good, super good. But as you know, we have one that originally was proposed by David Anderson, which was three waypoints. No intermediate waypoints. You get 3 waypoints. Your robot has to do total obstacle avoidance to find the cones, because you're not going to have a straight path, so you have to figure it out. That's one level. The other one was no GPS. So if you run without a GPS, that's another challenge. Then there's so we've got the no GPS, the 3 waypoint, and the 0 waypoint. And the 0 waypoint is that you don't know diddly. You only have one thing you can do. If you can see a cone, you can point it at it. Okay, that's all. That's the only thing you can do. You have no waypoints in your computer. However, you can retain any information that you gained in a run for your next run. So, like,
would the cones still be in a roughly triangle?
Well, they're going to be. How our roughly triangles are pretty rough.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of. It'll be the same sort of stuff, except I can guarantee you that one of the cones this year will be in a place that has a tree near it, and possibly other obstructions pretty close to it. Maybe even in the 10 yards. Or 10, I think it's 10 yards. 10 feet. Wait, I think it's 10 feet. So one of them is going to be a harder cone. The challenge cone will be harder. Okay. But we'll see how it goes.
Is that like a snarl of old barbed wire or something?
Something like that. But, we had the one pole that, took out the one 2-inch pole that was stuck in the ground that took out Scott's robot at the second cone last year. Well, you would think this one 2-inch post fence, I guess, you wouldn't think it'd be, chance of hitting it. You'd go around it 99% of the time. Well, he whacked it, and his LiDAR, since he only had a spot of a degree or so, he didn't see it. So, but this time it's going to be a little harder. Now, whether those are artificial or, real obstacles. Last year we had access to some bales of hay. There might be something like that, to make it make that challenge cone, get him to it. The intent is, if you have what do they call it? What's the not GPS, but the next RTK. If you have RTK and no obstacle avoidance, you probably won't be able to just drive up to the cone. Okay, that's the thought. Now it could change, it depends on who's on it, but we did have a perfect 9 on an RTK robot last year. So that, success makes it harder the next time. So anyway, that's what it. So, but
the cone's going to be in the middle of a maze, and you have to go through the maze and find the cone.
No, not that bad, Mike. Not that bad.
Hey, Doug, are the 3 waypoints given to the robot creator, or do we need to measure those 3 waypoints ourselves?
They're given to the 3 waypoints, you're not supposed to go onto the field. You're just given the 3 waypoints.
Okay.
All right. But because I know there's been incidences in the past where people didn't feel that was the right waypoint or whatever. More often it was their problem, but we've had that happen, especially now that Steve has RTK, antenna that he has on a survey pole. I mean, it's pretty hard for you to argue where the cone is when he.
Yeah, that should be really accurate.
He enables it. And if you read the rule says that they only have to give you a value, which is 10 meters, I think, or 10 feet or something. And the reason for that was not to confuse people, but we did not feel we had the accuracy to be able to tell you that it was at that location. We could tell you within 10 feet it was at that location, but we couldn't tell you exactly, well, it's dead nuts right here. Now, if we're at Steve's, we probably could. But the intent is you can only have those 3 waypoints in your robot.
Okay.
So if you want to check a waypoint, you're welcome to do it. But I mean, check where the cone is. You can do that, but you can only have 3 waypoints in it. Now, here's how I would do it. I would try to get, I'd put multiple waypoints in it, figure out the easiest path, get to there, try to get my 9 points. Okay.
So
to get on the
I've
board.
got a follow-up to that. If I wanted to offset those 3 waypoints because of calibrating my bot, as long as I had 3 waypoints, would that be okay? They might not be your 3 waypoints.
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
But you can't have any more than you can't. It's a lot easier if you can. Almost every course we've run has had a golden point, where if you went and touched a cone and went to the golden point, you could go to the next cone around most of the obstacles. And then if you went back to the golden point, you could go back to the home cone, going around most obstacles. So, because that's really hard to prevent a golden point. Okay. But
we're not given the golden point anyway, though, right?
Huh?
We're not given the golden point anyway.
No,
right?
you got to figure that part out yourself.
Okay.
You're only given 3 waypoints.
Given 3, yeah.
But you're not required to only use 3 waypoints to get to 9 points. Okay.
Right.
But
If you wanted to do the
if you
challenge,
want to do a challenge, then you limit yourself to 3 waypoints. So what I'm saying is, before you do a challenge, get on the board.
yeah, one of those 3 waypoints could be your golden point, though, correct?
No, they got to be cone locations.
Okay.
So if you're saying an offset, I'll go with that, but you can't find the place.
You can't offset it to the golden point.
No, you can't offset them to the golden point.
Okay.
So the intent is and in the 0 point, that's a real challenge. And hey, Kareem, if you guys, I don't know when this is in your season, so I can't tell you. But if you guys want to go for it, like I say, if you can see the first cone, which because of the way Steve's land is laid out, you most likely can. So you can point it towards the first cone. Okay. You couldn't be able to see the second and third.
The rules said that the first cone has to be visible.
No, you could be over a hill. There has to be no obstacles in the way. Otherwise, you should be able to.
You sure about
run
that?
Okay. If you run in a straight line, you should be able to get to the first cone. Okay. But there's no guarantee you can see the first cone. Okay. But, I can't think of the last time that we ran it with a hidden first cone, because our intent is to get as many mug owners as we can. So, going for that first point, you can point it at that. I mean, even we've had people who pointed it at the thing and had it time out at 100 yards or something like that and get a point. We've had that before. And when a long, long time ago, we actually had a guy who hit the cone and stopped because he had a bumper. His only sensor was a bumper. And what he did is he pointed it at the cone. This is back when we only had one cone. So he ran it straight to the cone, it hit the cone, stopped. He won because he was the closest to the cone. Those were the rules at the time. So
That was way back at the TI founders.
no.
place.
It was at the Dallas Science Museum.
That's what I said. The science place.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
the TI founders
yeah.
auditorium at the
Yeah, yeah.
science place. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was a
Before the Perot.
yeah, that was a different rule set, and that I don't know.
You didn't use like a laser source and set it on top of the cone?
Nothing.
Nothing?
He just I think he had a RC car, and basically he jammed he had it set so that the camera was pointing in, so it has a tendency to run in a straight line, and he jammed the steering, and off he went. So, but that's a different case, and that's club lore. Okay, so anyway, those were the two things I want to have. Look out for the post when it comes. People in Canada, we're sure hoping you guys can run this year. So you hear? I'm not hearing anything up there. Well, Tom said something, I think.
No, you got to do it, Tom.
You got to do it.
Come on.
Remember, you guys don't have to run in November. You can run earlier because you don't have to run in a snowpack.
Next week.
November would be better because it's farther out.
Yeah.
But I do have some work up until mid-September. Around the 20th of September, I'm done.
Yeah.
And I'm working on a redesign right now. And that's part of my story. My talk tonight, so is the start of a rewrite for my program.
Okay. Well, I know how you are because I'm trying to do somewhat of the same thing. I've got to get it back together, and then have it bouncing from cone to back and forth, cone to cone to cone to cone. Once I get that, then I can start doing some of the other stuff. But we'll see how it goes. So who's next, Carl?
Next we have Pat, and then me.
Pat.
And Tim. Yeah.
Hey guys. So I have been, as I mentioned, in the middle of or the start of rewriting a program. I'm trying to move it from a Raspberry Pi to to start rewriting it and moving my code from the Raspberry Pi, which was giving me latency issues, to an Arduino or in this case an STM F32F4. So I am working on Platform IO, and I decided to give Claude AI a try. So as per my screen, I decided to, instead of trying to program with logic and commands, I decided to say, hey, how's grammar going to work for me? So I asked it to create a Platform IO project for an STM 32F405 microcontroller for a dual motor driver using IBT-4 H-bridge drivers, controlled by pins PB8 and PB9 for motor 1, and encoder 1 pins PA0, PA1, motor 2 controlled by pins PB14 and PB15, and encoder 2, PA2 and PA3. Also use quadrature encoders with interrupts for each motor, create a PID for each motor to maintain consistent speeds for each motor. So that's, after a couple iterations, that's the statement I come up with. It kept just adding them together, which is why there's some bad grammar and everything else in there. But it managed to spit out a program. So, being a follower, not a leader, I decided, hey, I'm going to see how this works out. Created the project in Platform IO, and basically just copied and pasted it from in there. So it comes out with the main CPP, comes out with the dual motor controller.h and .cpp, motor.h, .cpp, encoder.h, encoder.cpp, and PIDH, and PID-CPP. Looking through everything, it looked to be okay. I have not tested it to see if anything is going to run as of yet, but it does compile. It does build. So that's my first step. I did that this week. Obviously, it's not going to stay like this. It's expecting serial commands. I'm not going to have it do serial commands. The serial interface will be tied to a max bit or max cam smart camera that I have already written the program for detecting cones. So that'll be one of the interfaces, as well as a bunch of other sensors on the robot. And we'll see how that goes. So this is just the start. I was fairly impressed with how it managed to do everything. I had a look through through the program, through the code, didn't see any real issues, blaring issues, but it yet remains to be seen when I run it. So okay. I will start it off in serial mode, giving it serial commands as it's expecting, and then work my way out from there.
Is this
Pat, 2 points? If you're going to use the STM part,
yep.
the F4, they have a special encoder mode in their timers.
Yes, it is using them.
Okay, cool. And another thought is
one of the timers for there's 2 counters, I think, on one of the timers that they can use, and I believe it's using one of the timers for the encoders, for the quadrature encoder.
Yeah, because what I'm saying is that's a nice feature of STM. Not all microprocessors have that mode in their timer modes. So anyway, that's one thing. And then the other one was, if you want to stay with, well, you know, I think STM F4, even though it kind of underuses all of the capabilities of that chip, you can stay with the Arduino environment. And you can also do that with the Teensy 4.1, which is another chip you might consider, okay, if you're going there. It's fast too. So just a thought.
So I went with this one because I was planning on using this with Python, MicroPython.
Oh, okay.
And I built a board for it, which has a bunch of I2C ports. It has some encoder ports built into it. It's got a few different features that I built on the board for, like I say, I think I got 4 boards delivered for, I think it was $8.
Yeah, cool.
Or five boards delivered for $8, I think it was. And I just noticed as we were talking, this one is not using, because I've separated off the pins, it went back to using interrupts. The previous one, I didn't specify the pins to use for the encoder. It used the timer.
Yeah, I think that's the one. That might be the version you want better, but that's up to you. You know.
Yeah. So the problem becomes is the pins aren't correct to use it. The pins are basically at this point hardwired into the board.
Gotcha.
Onto my encoder connectors.
Gotcha.
So I did it for. At the time was MicroPython and planning on using PIO, which didn't matter which pins I used. I would just be able to use the PIO encoder. Be using the encoder through it. And there's a lot less flexibility in the Arduino world with Platform IO.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay. I just thought I'd bring that up in case you weren't aware of that STM mode. I think
I've dabbled a little bit with the STM IDE.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called.
Cube Next.
Yeah. CubeMX.
Yeah, QMX, MX, that's right.
But because of the complexity and having to learn all the different HAL libraries that they have, I found that the Arduino world is much, much easier to use.
Yeah, yeah. You just have to accept. Well, you remember this. You can enhance the Arduino by using the STM commands if you want to.
Okay.
For example, like if I think probably, for example, an output pin or an input pin can be input, output, or input with resistors, with pull-up resistors. But, STM has like 5 other modes, pull down resistors, weirdnesses, and stuff like that. If you thought that would be useful to you, you can use them and just put those commands in. And I'm just saying that you don't have to be stuck only with the Arduino.
Okay, yeah, you can combine the two.
Yeah.
I do see that some of the libraries use bits and parts of that as well.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. I'm just at the start of it. I'm trying to get this going, spin some motors, and then start working out porting some of my old code back into here and get it to run.
Yeah. This is cool. I'm glad. So you guys are still thinking about it.
Oh, definitely. I am definitely still thinking about it. It's not off my radar. I have a busy September, August, September. On the desk beside me, I've got a part of the project I'm working on. I have to build a track in my garage maybe this weekend, and I have to scan a log. So I've got to build that whole setup for work. So lots to do for work, but after that, it's fun. So I'm hoping to be able to go with that. I still have my backup robot. I haven't taken it apart, the old one I used. So I still have that, but it would require a lot of troubleshooting as well and work to get that going.
I know sometimes it's easier to just start over than it is to try to repair something. I mean, I'm just, if it depends on how close you were,
I wasn't, unfortunately. That's the one I was having all sorts of problems with the compass, with everything on it. So I'm just trying to get the robot to roll straight first. If I can get the wheels and everything rolling straight, then I can start adding some more code in. And to the least amount of complexity I need to get 1 point.
Yeah. Well, Kareem has said that, compasses are evil, but, and I agree with him. I've had a lot of bad compasses, but I have, for some reason, I got one of these compasses off that happened to be attached to a drone GPS. Okay. And it really, that particular chip seems to be pretty damn good. So, I don't know if it's the way I just mounted it and it's just, in a happy place or what, but I may try to see if I, because I would like to get that initial direction pretty accurate before I started to roll. And then once I started to roll, then let filters kick in and use the GPS value for heading. But
that is my plan as well. So my compass, before I start rolling, my compass is pretty accurate.
Yeah.
As soon as the motors start to move, then it's not. So if I can get my initial heading off of my compass when standing still.
That was the thing that surprised me, was I did seem to actually, I'm just using brushed DC motors, which put out a lot of noise, but I do have them capacitored up, and they don't seem to be screwing with this compass. Okay.
Is your compass mounted inside your GPS?
No, it's next to it. This is a compass, I've actually got 2 GPSs on the robot, but on the second GPS isn't really being used. It's not even connected. I'm just using the compass, that's on the GPS chip.
Okay,
Okay.
and I have one as well. And then what I was wondering, are you using the GPS on a metal plate, like a backplane?
I didn't do it on this one, no.
Okay.
Okay, and also very careful that everything that's on the mast is nylon fasteners. And even any connector, if I'm soldering them in, if I have control over them, if you take DuPont connectors and you touch them with a magnet, you'll find that some of them are magnetic and some are not.
Yep.
Well, I don't use any of the magnetic ones.
Okay. So
Okay.
the brass, essentially.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that, well, be careful. Brass color doesn't mean diddly, but I'm just saying that's something on the mast. There's no metal.
Okay.
No screws, nothing. It's all nylon. Now,
I have one screw holding the metal plate down at the top of my mast.
yeah. Well, I mean, you got a metal mat,
A metal plate.
a metal
at the top
plate.
of the mast.
That's a ground plane.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Is it grounded or free floating?
It's grounded common.
okay. Is it a aluminum plate?
No, it is steel.
Well, that's going to screw your magnet. I want to say that's going to be really, really hard on any compass that you have. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing to do. But you can put the GPS doesn't really have to be on the mast, especially if you have a ground plane under it. It shouldn't really be a problem. The thing that's going to be up on the mast is your IMU and my compass. So
My compass was about halfway up my mast.
okay.
And
I'm just saying,
away
yeah,
in the air.
yeah. Well, if you're getting good readings, I'm not gonna, you don't complain about.
Initial good reading.
Okay.
It was the initial good reading when I was standing still is reading stable and good. As
Yeah.
soon as I turn my motors on, it's
all over the place. Yeah.
all over the place. So at least I get ahead before I start moving.
That was a strategy that David Anderson used to do too. He used to use a compass only while it was sitting there before it started up. It would sit there for a while, I guess, to do whatever they do, and then he'd get a reading, and then I think he didn't look at it again.
Okay.
I mean, it's people have done it, but I would really love to have a good compass that I could put into try to figure out how to data merge it with other information, but that might be too hard for me.
I'd like to know how my car does it, my truck does it, because it's sitting in the driveway. It doesn't matter where it is. It doesn't matter. It's been off for a week. I start it up. It tells me that I'm pointed southwest.
Well, how it does it, it only has 16 points. And it's only telling you're in a quadrant.
And your watch and your phone, they give good compass readings too.
Yeah.
My watch is mechanical. It doesn't give me any compass readings. Although technically it can, if you point is it the little hand at the sun or the?
That's like this one right here. I got this from my dad's thing. So it's got a compass right in there, so you know which way you're pointed. And then that lets you aim it for the sun, and then you can tell what time it is.
What time?
So that's my pocket watch right there.
That's cool. So
Yeah, that's another thing you do is use a sun compass.
Yes, track the shadow.
Mm-hmm.
Track the shadow of my mast.
Yeah. Yeah. You can do it.
I got a question. Well, wait a minute. There's still people in line. I have an open mic question. Then I'll keep it for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
for open mic, which isn't exactly open mic if we put you in a list, but we'll do it anyhow. Okay. Okay, cool. All right. So Pat, was any more? So are we looking forward to seeing a compiled and running software from your Claude?
Yeah, so that's
Claude
my
AI.
next step is to get it put on the board, figure out how I'm going to download it to it, because I don't think I can use the USB port. I'm going to have to use an ST Link module
Yeah.
to put it onto the board and go from there.
Mhm.
I think there is a bootloader you can load into it to do that, to do the Arduino thing.
It has the bootloader built into it, I believe,
Okay.
for STM, not for Arduino, but
Yeah, for STM, there is a boot pin on this thing, but I believe originally it was set up for MicroPython. So,
Okay.
but I'll probably use an ST Link module to load the code.
Yeah. At least they're not expensive.
No, they're not. Next.
Okay, cool. That would be me. Me next. I have just a relatively short thing, probably only adjacent. So it's a ChatGPT or Perplexity. It might work for others. Technique as well. So I discovered this week. So like ChatGPT has this concept of projects. And at first I thought they were just like folders. You could organize things. But it turns out that you can actually add knowledge or context that apply to every chat within that project. So you might have one.
Carl, can you make it a little larger, the text a little larger?
Yeah. So you can make these projects. You can set these up so that not only do they organize kind of similar threads, but if you wanted to dig into different aspects of the same thing, like I have another one I started for work where I want to do a blog page. So I have one thread for the research. I have another thread to kind of three different tries to work on the wording content. And then it generated some images. So I have one different thread to develop each of the separate images that come together. Then I have another thread to kind of compile all the pieces together. So anyhow, by doing that, I was able to add instructions relevant for that particular blog post, and then like background files that I wanted to compile and have it and bring together. So I started this one tonight just for this demo, and that's a long-winded way of saying that that's what this folder is about. And among the instructions that I found handy, I discovered this week, and it's this bit right here. And if you look closely, it says append a one-line footer of this form. It says use America, Chicago time zone. If no tool is used, write tools. And then it gives some examples. And what that's cool is that then for any chat that you start in here, at the end of the prompt, when it comes back, it summarizes for you when you ran it and which model you ran and what tools. So like if you go to ChatGPT and you turn on some of these other tools, they show up there in the list. And I find that pretty handy because you might switch between models back and forth, even in the same thread, or the models might change over time on a long-running thread. And if you want to learn how to drive these things, I found it really helpful to know and understand how does thinking respond versus the fast or the auto, and what are these different switches? What do they really do in practice? So that's my one.
Carl?
Yeah.
Can you put that in the chat? That I guess
Yep.
it's a prompt or
It's an
whatever.
instruction. This is the footer, and I verified that it works for ChatGPT and also Perplexity. And at first I thought, so then earlier on in this meeting, I was zoning out a little bit because I wanted to understand I got this. I didn't type this up myself. I asked, of course, in some other thread how I could tell and how I could keep a note of what's going on, what model and time. And it suggested that I add this to the prompt. So I started using it, and then I wound up putting it in the instructions at different levels. And then in here, tonight I asked, are these instructions some kind of official directives, at least for OpenAI? And identify what other directives that GPT offers and what users provide as useful. So I asked, because I didn't really know, it just worked. So I used it and I said, okay, tell me how it works. And this thing said, actually, no, they're not directives. They're just because you've given us some examples. But then it went into a nice breakdown of how to think about the different places you can give guidance in a kind of a really structured way. I knew some of it before, but not all of it. And then it gave these, which are instructions that people tend to use. And then it explained, this was the most interesting because I hadn't gotten quite this far, but it gave an idea based on what I've provided, what it actually inspected these instructions that I compiled here tonight about robot content. And it compiled those, and it told me how to break them down and spread them across. It said this part goes at your account level so that it applies to all of your projects and chats. This level would kind of go at your account level generally, how you like responses to be formed. And then it said that these kind of make sense to go with your robot stuff purpose. And then it summarized for me, when it ran and what it used. So anyhow, so this is the new design pattern I wanted to share, and that is that nowadays, whenever I start off a new project, like these instructions, you only have 1,500 characters. So even though the models can take hundreds, tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of tokens, your instructions only get so many characters. So you want them to be concise. So, and I might not know the best way to summarize it. So I'll actually start the first chat in a project. I'll say, this is generally what I'm trying to accomplish. Help me craft some concise instructions that I can apply to every chat in this project. And then I'll go review its output and paste them in, and off you go.
I've been doing the same sort of thing with Windsurf, not to the extent you have, but Windsurf, you can go in and every time I start, it wants to give me Python code and a bunch of other stupid stuff not that Python's stupid, don't get me wrong there, but things that I don't care about at the time of the project. So I'm able to give the code, the project I'm on right now through work, they're doing some really extensive prompts and stuff to get a whole bunch of tables and markdown and all this other kind of stuff coming out of it. So I'm seeing some things there, but what I'm doing is I'm able to give it some instructions. Says, hey, I am a .NET C# developer, so don't bother giving me any JavaScript or any of these or Python or any of that stuff. So I don't have to. I used to have to type that and
every
so
time.
I'm figuring out where to, and I put this in the project where I'm working.
Yeah.
So it's a hidden file, and so I tell it who I am, what I am, the environment I'm working on. And so every time it runs one of these things, it picks that thing up and then goes before it considers it the system instructions. It's really cool to see that work and how it increases my flow on it.
Yeah.
And I'm still having to talk to it like it's a 5-year-old, but I'm learning how 5-year-olds speak better and more as I go forward.
Yeah, there's some handy patterns for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So the only other thing I should mention in that is that these instructions, as with the account personal, the account level ones, which are over here in this area. And the thing is that if you put account level ones in, apparently for any project where the instructions here are null, it'll inherit the project level instructions. But as soon as you put anything in here in the project instructions from some other thread, it indicated that it only uses these instructions. It no longer uses the account level. So I do kind of wonder about the answers that this one just gave about breaking it down, because that's not what it said in another thread. The other thing is that it, from the way it reads, it seems that whenever you have instructions like this, it's kind of prepended to the first prompt you have in here, right? So I started this one for grins. I already told it in robot stuff about DPRG, so I just said do this. And so in theory, it took the project level instructions, prepended it to this, and then that's the prompt, the whole prompt that it gave under my control, not counting safety instructions and other crap. But then after that, like for every following turn down here, it does not go back and reread the project instructions. So those were already baked into the first prompt in a thread. So if I go back then and now edit this, the edits are allegedly not incorporated to the next few threads, next few turns in here. There's some funny caveats according to what the documentation. In practice, I don't know that I believe it all the time, but but that model one I found pretty handy, so hopefully it's of value to people.
You're going to put it in the chat, right?
I did already.
Okay, cool.
Yep. And it works just as well if you want. You can throw it in any old prompt, any turn. Okay, that was it for me. I think, Kareem, you had some stuff at least on the upcoming weekend?
I just wanted to confirm with folks that I don't know how long it's going to last, but there was nothing in that message, in those messages that went out, that talked about show and tell time after the talk. So I wanted to remind people to bring your robots and be ready to show them off.
That's a good.
Or work on them or something.
Yeah, it would be cool to have a little bit of show and tell. And I've been going through some cabinets. I might have some stuff to hand out to people. So, different.
Same here.
Yeah.
I've got
some
motors that I can hand out.
Cool.
What time does that start? That's this weekend, right?
10 a.m.
Yeah, Mike, 10 o'clock.
Is it going to be recorded? I will not be able to make it.
You won't?
I will not. I have to go to a funeral.
Okay. No, it'll be recorded. We hope.
We hope. Okay.
Well, I mean, we're going to put it on the web with like a meeting, and I'm going to have as backup, I'm going to have an old timey camcorder just recording. So between the two, we should have something that'll be up on the web.
Great.
You'll have a VHS recorder.
Yeah, not that. This is the one that you've seen me use before.
Betamax.
No, a little newer than that. But anyway, let's try to do that.
Yes,
That's all I wanted to bring up.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. I might
something out. Would you read it?
Might want to send an update or email refresh or something.
Yeah, I'll put it on the webpage too.
I have a question. Is there kind of an emerging AI? Is it going to be Claude? Is it going to be ChatGPT that you find the easiest, most used, most useful? Is there one emerging, or are there many horses in the race?
It's a free for all,
Yeah,
and they're leapfrogging each other and playing short games and long games. OpenAI is trying to like lower the cost for API calls, and this basically threw a shot across the bow at the makers of Claude, because Claude has sort of glommed on and gotten really popular with developers, and they're starting to like get momentum around that whole experience with Claude code. So sometimes it's the tools, how you put the tools together, that adds a lot of value. So Claude Code, Anthropic, they're getting away with charging developers, very high prices right now, but because you're getting productivity with that set of tools, it's great. But that's just so the coders have been recently, just over the last 3-4 months, have been really captured by Anthropic with Claude Code. A lot of people have moved over there. So I still use Windsurf, but I mostly use Claude Code, but I use Windsurf as my, just my editing environment when I need to go in there myself. But and so I use other agents for that. I would never write off OpenAI or Google or any of them for the the rapid pace at which they're developing stuff and putting stuff out in open source as well. So the open source models from both the Gemma models from Google and DeepMind, and the OpenAI models that they recently made open weight. They're just absolutely amazing. So yeah, it depends a lot on what you want to do, I'd say, right? So the ecosystems of all of them are just it's hard to keep up just to know how to use each one, because every time a new model gets released, there's some changes in how you best prompt it, and it takes a little while to develop that. We're sort of running into that with the new OpenAI, the GPT-5, and sort of you got to get a little bit used to it and how to deal with the router. That's the new feature there. So yeah, it's just choose one, and you're probably going to increase your productivity.
Yeah, I got and there's it's so amazing. This time last year, I did get finally, was able to get a program. I think it was a test program. I think we talked about this, and got it to compile and actually work. But this year, the likelihood of doing that almost on the first shot has gotten a lot better. I mean, it depends on how you prompt it, but I'm just amazed at the answers, and they're much better at suggesting things that you may not have thought about. They'll say like, well, would you like me to add blah, blah, blah and blah, blah, blah to it? Well, you say, well, what is blah, blah, blah and blah, blah, blah? And then you get, yeah, that sounds cool. And you can just add it. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what all the other ones cost, but I think, doesn't Open GPT, it's about $25 a month.
20.
There's a $20 a month level, and then there's a $200 a month level.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Are you on $200? I'm just curious.
No, I'm at $20. I'm at $20 with OpenAI.
Okay, that's where I am, and I've been really impressed. Ray, I mean, your own financial situation, you have to figure it out. But I hate subscriptions because they tend to grow. First you have one, and then you have two, and then the next thing you know, you got 27, and you have to go in and say, well, okay, I don't need this one anymore, and you throw it away. So far, at least, they've been easy to get out of. You know what I mean? But I would definitely say the OpenAI would be one which is open, which is ChatGPT. I would say that one's definitely $20 well spent.
Okay.
Yeah, the biggest problem I have with it is, the Google's AI features in their web in Chrome have gotten pretty good too for just simple questions. But I used to ask those simple questions of Chat GPT, But now I almost do programming only in Chat GPT, or like, is this piece of hardware capable of doing this type questions? And
You can do a lot with ChatGPT's free tier now. They'll even give you the most advanced thinking model once per day, maybe, or something like that.
I think it's more frequent than that. I think it's once every 12 hours or something. But that's the problem. That's what got me to $20. But so you get this really fantastic answer, then you ask again, and it's like, I'm a dummy. I don't know what diddly you're doing. And you say, wait a minute, I want the other guy back. And the next thing you know, you're $20 a month. So anyway, that for my level of use, and some days I'm on it all day, and other days, I don't even use it. So, but do I still think it's worth $20, which is less than $1 a day? Yes, I do.
So is everyone on the call using the thinking models, or much of the time, or is people focusing on the fast ones sometimes?
I always use the thinking, because I'm retired. I'll let it go.
I'm using the thinking right now as we're sitting there chatting, because I'm making some surprise gifts for some of the other creators, and I'm using the thinking model to make my. I'm trying to inspire ChatGPT to with where I want it to go, and have it, generate me some prose that I would never generate myself, but then as long as it's inspired by me, I'm good with that, because it's come out really good. And the thinking model seems to give me much better responses. Like, I can tell the thinking model to, you're too formal. I need some more humor, and I need more humor than that. And I need some more of these kind of things. And it's able to get to pick up on that fairly quickly. I guess since I've been sitting here, I probably ripped through its response about 20 times, edited it a bunch, and shoved it back at it and said, okay, I'd update this. We're going to go from here, and that kind of stuff. But the thinking model gives me much better responses. Saying all of that, Kareem. Okay, Carl, you didn't probably see this. Kareem, how did you run into Ron Dagdag?
He ran into me. No, he said that he saw a recent Tuesday night RBNV where I was talking about my coding experience. I think it was just last week's, and he wanted me to present it at one of their what are they?
Meetup?
Global AI meetup group or something like that.
We're part of it's for the longest time it was Hackster DFW for Hackster.io stuff, but that's been morphing into this global AI initiative that Ron has been doing that for a long time, and we've had a couple of conference things happen in the last month or two, and he's got some sort of fresh blood, so to speak, that's pushing these kind of things, and I'm really happy to see when I saw your name pop up, and I'm like, no, is that? Oh yeah, that is. That's cool. He's outside of a DPRG box. Watch out. Careful. I think it's awesome.
On ChatGPT subscription for coding, the one downside I find is you can't, or what's missing, maybe I should say, is for coding, you really want something that's integrated in your editor, like VS Code, right? In the ChatGPT with that subscription, you're stuck to the browser, right? And it works well, but it works.
If you use Windsurf, you can tell Windsurf to go use ChatGPT. I'm using Claude right now.
Okay, but it's not tapping into your subscription, right? So I'm paying the $20 a month to OpenAI. On top of that, I'm paying money to GitHub, right? So I have something better than their free service.
So the GitHub can point to OpenAI.
It can, exactly,
You can
but
bang
it can't.
twice.
It can't exactly. I can't tell it. Oh, by the way, I have the subscription. Yeah, I could give it an API token or something, but then I can't leverage that $20 a month inside of the coding editors, right? You're paying again with another subscription, and I did.
Get used to it.
I know. I am. You know, I'm very.
Karim
used to
just told
these-
you not to be old, Chris. That's what he just said. Be old.
But my point is, you really want to be using one of those code editors, right? Because the moment you ask it to make a change, you really want to see the diff, and that's what I like, right? You're asking it, hey, make this change, right? Because they switched from the chat mode to the edit mode, and now they got the agent mode, and it's more or less the same as edit, right? So you make a change, you see the diff, and you can build it, you can try it. It's like sort of saved, but you got an immediate undo, right? Or you can ask it to make tweaks to it. So you want that flow, right? When you're trying to do coding. So unfortunately, more subscriptions. Yeah.
You just sold us on Windsurf and Cursor.
No, I've been mostly
Cloud
using
Code.
VS Code, but I've decided to try
They
Cursor a little
messed
bit.
up. They messed up horribly. They really fell behind the other guys. Trying to be all proprietary like, and yeah.
I'm gonna
But
try out Cursor a
Windsurf's
little
only
bit more.
$15 a month for, and I almost never. You don't have to. To me, it's the fallback to Claude Code, and an alternate sort of, integrate IDE for it, but do most of my work in Claude Code.
Hmm.
But I have both of them on the same project at the same time.
Interesting.
Try it, you'll like it.
But does that give you the diff view when it makes a change?
You already get that. You already get that in Claude Code,
Okay.
and you can see it anytime you want in Windsurf as well.
In the Windsurf, you just go through the div and say, I like that, I like that, I don't like that, I like that, I like that, I don't like that. And I'm really, like when I'm talking to it like a fifth grader, or no, so a 5-year-old, and really easy to put that thing into a tailspin, because it'll go do something. It says, oh, I can fix that. I say, go fix it. And I said, it's got 9 errors. Now, this is the example I use all the time. So I go 9 errors. He goes, I went and fixed it. And I said, okay, let's try it. Now you have 31 errors. He goes, ooh, I can fix that. And so now I say, okay, go fix it. And he goes, I fixed it. Now try it. Now I got 9 errors. And it's the same 9 errors that they're going back and forth between, because it missed a cast or something that it should not have done when it was trying to do a thing, and it's trying to fix it downstream instead of recognizing the human could spot it and go, no, you don't need to do that right there. I had to go, okay, let's see where you got spun off. And so when you do that, and you also want to be very, very, very careful about how much you ask it to do at a time. It seems like to me, I could say, hey, I've got this file. We've written 2 or 3 unit tests on the thing, and I like how you're writing them. Just do it for the rest of the file. And there's 30 methods. The thing will go off into the weeds and never come back, because you've asked it to do too much. But if you ask it one at a time, it'll do each one of them fine. It'll do each one of them pretty well. And, you still have to handhold it a little bit, guide it along. At least that's what I'm finding anyway. Grim's the master, so he may, say, Harold, you're full of noise. You don't know what you're talking about. That's fine. I've been told.
No, I throttle them pretty severely. I don't let them just go. That usually leads to all sorts of problems, and you find them out later.
Yeah.
I want to approve what it's doing, but then I'm using it not. I'm using it like a software developer would use it, not like a somebody who's just off the farm and just trying to vibe code without any background.
And like one of my
That only works for really trivial problems.
it's like the person I wasn't using this for the longest time on my project, and my front end developer was. And he goes, "Man, you really need to do this. I'm like, "Okay, you're a VP telling me I need to do a thing, so let's go do a thing." And so I went and did it, and I've gotten to like it. And it keeps coming back. He goes, "Yeah, this is helping. This does these things, but you still have to be a developer. You can't be just willy-nilly going around going, I want these things." And I know I see plenty of people that go, "I want to do this, 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 and this," and they're doing all kinds of Python stuff and they're doing some really cool stuff, but they're doing very, very small, very constrained things of what they're doing. And when you're writing a software system that's got front ends and back ends and all these other kind of things going on, it's really a stretch to have that thing totally understand everything that you're doing and not screw it up for you, where you can back it out. Thank God for Git. I'm saying I just thank God for check-ins.
And the undo button.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. We're thick in the open mic, except Ray Kassler's mic is not open, it seems.
Yep. I just did. Oh, so Carl, do you have any more developers, or are you replacing them all with GPT or?
Yeah, no. There's a the next week or two, I've got 4 right now, and they're using I think Copilot mainly, but I'm not close enough to how they're using it. And Kareem's got that funny look on his face, and so I in the next week or two, I hope to. We have a big project, and I want to try and drive it kind of top down, from architecture down through implementation and test, even specifications and the like, and I really want to use this as a pathfinder to figure out how to make the 4 guys that we have plus another 50 or $100 a month of tokens or whatever, and make it really just get more bang for the buck with these guys. So that's my plan. I don't see replacing them.
I'll just introduce one other question, and I admit it's not mine. It came from Bob Cook in the Vancouver meeting. As a software developer, or as a manager of software developers, there's no question they're introducing AI-based coding methods. But he said a big part of the reason why they're doing it is because their developers expect them to. And the new developers are not going to want to work in a shop that's not making fairly aggressive use of modern technology, whether it's helpful or not.
Right. It's the latest fad tool. And that, so my son-in-law is experiencing that in his company in Chicago, where from the sound of it, there's some really excited people in his company that instead of taking on kind of like manageable baby steps and learning the limits, like I hear Kareem doing, and using it where it makes sense and not using it where it not makes sense. These guys, it sounds like they said, "Oh, we're going to do this like vibe coding, throw everything at it, expect like push the button, and then out comes running code on the server." Oh, that didn't work. Well, I guess it's not ready. So it's like, let's get a clue, guys. You gotta learn where the controls are and how they work before you try and take it around the racetrack. But it sounds like that's where we all are, judging from how much time we've spent on this call tonight and the last few calls.
Yeah, I guess I would say though that you got to get started somewhere.
Yeah.
Point I'm curious But I'm curious
And I
about.
did.
Sorry, go ahead, Doug.
I was just going to say that, you know, OpenAI, $20. If you haven't done anything, that's the way to go.
It's money well spent.
And you just, like I say, you know, take a project that you've already solved and use that to figure out how to write your prompts. And one of the things that I have found that I really love about it now is that if you name the software, you know, like if you say, excuse me, the hardware, if you name it, you know, it'll look it up, it'll figure out its specs, and it gives it a real leg up. You know, so, you know, that's it. It has the ability to, so like if you, like I say, I remember the original, I think the original question or program I tried to write was an ultrasonic for the HSR 04 with, that wasn't blocking. Okay. And how could you know, for it to write, and we, you know, I've written that code probably a gazillion times. So I went ahead and, you know, you find out the first one it sends you is the standard little example script that you get in Arduino. Well, that's a blocking code. So, you know, anyway, you got to figure out. So if you don't know diddly about the problem, you can get led astray. So you have to know, kind of know what makes sense. And a good way to learn that is to try to practice on things that you already know the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then what's interesting is what you get is approaches that you never considered. Okay. It solves it some weird way that, and you look at it and you say, dang, I never thought of that. You know, that's not the way I do it. Well, if it works, you know, if you actually compile there, if it's a small enough problem, you can compile it and put it on a, if you want to use an Arduino board, just put it on an Arduino board, check it out and say, okay, does it work? And, but that's, I mean, I'm just saying that's a good way to get started. And then, you know, you can also say, ask questions like, I have a Mazda CX-5. What size tires does it have? You know, now just, you know, say, you can get, you should, any question you can think up of, you can go. So one of the things that I wanted to ask before we sign off, if I were to use a flag on my robot by putting, when I mean a flag, I put a physical object on the robot that is in, say, the corner of the front of the camera image. You know, to, you know, one obvious one is what is orange, you know, or more problem would be like, how bright is the light so that I can adjust the brightness. Okay, you know, has anybody got any experience with doing that, and does it work?
That's a pretty common calibration technique in machine vision stuff.
Yeah.
To put some sort of some sort of known object in there to calibrate against, and
Yeah.
you can do it on a live moving robot. It's not going to handle situations where here's something you're going to get, especially with a cone under a tree, possibly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
In dappled sunlight, is that, you know, the cone might be partially in the shade, and your calibration target may be in pure sun, and it's just, you know, it's going to mislead you.
Yeah,
But
could
for
you,
general, like if you're for general purposes, it's a good technique to follow.
mm-hmm. Well, you know, that's one of the reasons that drove me to the AI models, was the ability to be able to know shapeness, to know,
They're not,
to know cones, you know, and so if it,
it's a shape recognition. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I'm saying, if I look at it and So let's say I'm in the sunlight and it's in the shade. Okay. If I look at the saturation or the U or whatever, probably saturation in the shade versus the saturation of my target, if they're mismatched, I might be able to adjust it so that otherwise I know I'm in a bright sun. Well, I'm just thinking here. I've wondered if there might be something that could be useful to drive brightness settings and that sort of thing. Anyway,
You also have to worry about the camera you're using and whether it's going to automatically change based on the brightness of the image.
That's true.
Different cameras will react differently.
That's, I guess, the thing in blob detection. Auto white balance is typically turned off. You don't have it on. But I kind of wondered about like an iris, a camera with an iris, could you
it's the auto
use the AI
exposure
model to set that?
The auto exposure on a lot of cameras will sort of change the characteristics of the image and may even mess with white balance and just throw the hues off. It's possible. You just got to learn your camera in the environment that you're going to be in. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just was thinking out loud. Okay. I'm going to have to leave, guys. Adios. So
I think we're almost tied up if there's nothing else.
Yeah. Well, I have a new time of flight sensor I'm going to try. It's the newest version of the STM VLX 53. That's the L8, and according to the data sheet, it's just one of these small modules here. According to the data sheet, it's supposed to have better ambient light capability. So, but the problem with it is the libraries aren't built for it very well yet. I guess it's relatively new, and but it seems to have a library for the STM32 of some sort. So it's going to be a new rabbit hole to go down. Otherwise, if I can't get it to work, I don't like the way it's working, I'll just go back to my ones I used indoors. But
so that's one of the 8x8s, but it's supposed to handle more intense light, right?
That's what it says. The data sheet says. It says better, but I'm not sure if it's 1% better or 50% better. Yeah. But it's so different that the register maps are all different, and they said we're not publishing register maps anymore. Here's an SDK for something for their processor and stuff, and so it's a lot harder to get just a generic Arduino type library for it. So, so I wonder what Claude would do.
Maybe it has an in at ST,
Yeah. So basically, say, hey, I'm going to put 6 of these on a ESP32 using this library and how would you do it? Of course, I'm sure you have to say a lot more concisely than that, but yeah. I should give it a try at least.
So Palulu didn't have a library for it specifically for that one?
It has a library, a SDK, and they have a Arduino library for the Arduino type tools, but it's only for the STM32 processor, and it's basically targeted towards some different board sets than what I'm going to be using. So, so there's some translations to do. So, yeah. I'm gonna try it. I bought one just to see if I can get it working. If I can get it working, then I'll buy a whole set.
Yeah, they're getting a little pricey. What does that one go for? Like
Uh,
17 or something? No, that's too cheap.
that's
More
too
than
cheap.
that.
Yeah. Upper 20s. Yeah.
Yeah.
They got more expensive lately.
Tariffs, maybe? I don't know.
But everyone has the same price, so I can't find any cheap versions of it.
Next week, you'll have some results next week.
I don't know. It's a rabbit hole to go down. If I can get the navigator to work with my camera, then maybe I'll say, okay, I'm going to do some hardware for fun because it's more fun than the software.
Yeah, that'd be cool to find out. That'd be a pretty good sensor for outdoor use.
Yeah, because you can see the low, close to the ground object without being without the ground interfering and thinking it's an object, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So it has great hope. Like I need to like a little log. My car could go over that, but if it's a bigger thing, that the LiDAR of course won't see it, and I need to be able to say, oh, I don't want to try to go. I should go around that. So like a horse apple.
There you go. Yeah. The horse apple test.
A big horse apple. Yeah. A small horse apple, I could probably run over it. But
Yeah, when mine went through, I thought for certain it was going to hang up, but somehow it working with the front bumper and it seemed to get through them. It was amazing.
That's great. All right, that's my little thing.
Cool. All right. Next in open mic, anyone else? Going twice. All right. Well, this Saturday, 10 o'clock Central, Makerspace or online or recorded time shift. Until then, guys, have a good night. Take care.
Good night.
Generate freely and with good luck. Whatever that means. I don't know.
Live long and prosper.